All right, guys. Excellent. So yeah, I think we're live, which is good. Never sure when this has actually started, but appears to be streaming now to YouTube, so that is wonderful. Cool. So yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. If anyone's watching, we'll make a few clips from this live anyway later on, which is what I actually started to really enjoy doing. I think it's one of my favorite ways to make content from YouTube, is to record live and then just take clips, because otherwise it'd be making sort of specific videos for each item. But yeah, this seems to be a pretty efficient way to do that. And also I'm using a live feature, which is kind of cool because I never really used it too much before. But yeah, let me know if there's any sort of things I could improve on. I tried to connect my camera today, but I couldn't get that working. I'll have to buy a few things, I think, to do that. Sorry, guys. Which I will invest in eventually. But yeah, I'm not really sure what all the compartments are. In the video today, we're going to start off talking about my recent trip to Laos. Sadly, I don't really have any pictures or anything video ready, prepared to show you guys, but I did want to tell you about my re-entry. My re-entry into the country. Obviously, that's been something we've been talking about and lots of people have been talking about online, is re-entering Thailand. Now, I do have a long-term visa, so I think that's one of the things we'll talk about. But yeah, that's probably also why I didn't actually have any issues. But it was quite a funny story. I was pretty stressed because, you know, all the news recently that we've been seeing, but everything went really smooth for me, actually. Probably the quickest I've been through immigration this time. And I was really worried this time as well, because if you only listen to everyone online, apparently things have gotten pretty difficult, but I found the opposite to be true, actually. So I thought I would share that with you. We're going to talk about some more visa news also. Again, I noticed my lives are kind of wobbly. I think it's because I put my hands on my desk a lot, so I'll try not to do that. But yeah, again, there's been quite a lot of news about visas and potentially a new visa route through investment, which we'll talk about also. Although it was a little bit tricky to find all the details. There's also been news about a revamp of the visa system as well, so we'll look at that a little bit. And then we'll also talk about some kind of a little bit sad, but we'll get into some of the motorcycle incidents. I've been seeing a lot recently of motorcycle incidents in sort of usually tourists who are getting stuck in sort of hospitals with really high bills, and people are setting up GoFundMes. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it today was, well, there's been a few recently that seem to have been pretty severe. But also, I do want to talk about sort of getting the correct insurances and making sure that you have an insurance that covers you when you are riding a motorcycle, because actually a lot of the travel insurance coverages don't actually cover things like motorcycle accidents. So that's something I wanted to mention as well. But yeah, we'll have a look at that in a little bit moment. So first up, my trip to Laos. So maybe you know if you're a regular viewer to this channel, although maybe you don't. I'm on the DTV visa at the moment, so I'm staying in Thailand on the destination Thailand visa, which is a relatively new visa. It was released for remote workers and people studying Thai soft power activities, things like Thai cooking, Muay Thai. You can get it for those reasons. You can actually apply for it for multiple different reasons as well. But yeah, it's a 5-year visa. However, you get stamped in for 6 months. So either every 6 months or 6 months plus an extension. You do have to leave the country and come back. So that's what I was doing. That was one of my reasons for going to Laos this time. I stayed in Vientiane the whole time because I did have to do a little bit of work online. So I was only in Vientiane, which was kind of disappointing because there are a few other places that I really want to visit in Laos. And it's one of my favorite countries to visit also. If you've not tried beer Lao, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite beers in Southeast Asia for sure, I would say. Beer Lao is really good. So yeah, getting over there on tap fresh was a lot of fun, a little bit too fun some of the weekends I was there. But yeah, I stayed in Vientiane. I did make a few videos and went to a few of the tourist spots in Vientiane, and hopefully I'll be able to upload those soon, although it'll probably be in a couple of months actually. I've got quite a lot of content to get through when it comes to the travel videos first. So I'm like kind of months behind actually, which is kind of good because I probably won't be able to record for a couple of months any new material. So it's good that I've got sort of a load of stuff in the pipelines. Definitely prefer it that way around. But yeah, I was actually pretty worried about getting back into the country because there had been a lot of viral clips of people claiming that they'd been stopped at immigration. There was that one sort of woman who went viral who claimed that she needed to show in cash some of the money that she had. There's been quite a few cases apparently like that. Now, one of the reasons why I say apparently is because I think, well, I'm pretty sure that pretty much all of those people were trying to get in on visa exemption, and I'm pretty sure all of them had done it at least once, maybe twice in this past calendar year, because I think actually they're the only people who are getting sort of flagged at immigration. And I say that because when I went with my e-visa, which is valid, I was honestly through in seconds. Like it was really, really smooth. So I don't think if you've actually got a visa, I don't think you're actually getting any extra scrutiny. I think it's people who come without a visa expecting visa exemption, which is kind of fair enough. And there are a few sort of grey finer points to the visa exemption, which we have talked about on this channel before. But yeah, once again, I don't think these things are really affecting people who actually have applied for the visa. In fact, I think the scrutiny that is being increased is directed at people who immigration officers are sort of viewing as people who should actually apply for longer term visas. Obviously, if you're using visa exemption multiple times per year, you're not really just a tourist here for travel reasons, are you? You're probably trying to live here longer term or whatever. And there's probably a more appropriate visa. And I think that's the thing they're trying to stop, is people sort of misusing, in their view, visa exemption. Because I had kind of read articles online about people who claim to be on the DTV as well, my visa, saying that they needed the cash in cash as well, not because you need to prove, one of the requirements for most of the visas is that you have enough money to stay in the period of time that you're staying. So different visas have different requirements in terms of funds, and people have been saying recently that you need it in cash rather than being able to show a bank balance, which I'd never heard about. And again, I'm not sure it's entirely true. One of the clips I watched online, I think the girl said that she was trying to take the cash out of a credit card, and I can understand why maybe a credit card wouldn't be proof of, well, obviously it's not proof of funds, is it? Because you're borrowing that money, you don't necessarily have it. So I think that is one of the things that is going on. Okay, so again, I got pretty anxious, and the only reason why I wanted to share with you that it was a very smooth landing and passing through immigration was because I've become really anxious seeing all these videos and seeing these news articles recently, and I found nothing, well, nothing could be further from the truth for my personal experience. Obviously I could be the outlier, but I don't think I am. So yeah, and I also landed at Don Mueang, which is where the airport where this famous or this viral clip had gone around, and she said, yeah, Don Mueang is apparently really strict. And again, I think if you've been in a few times on visa exemption, then yeah, you're definitely going to start getting flagged. However, if you've actually got a visa, I don't think you have anything really to worry about, which is good news. And obviously, probably would have been my opinion before if I had not seen so many sort of viral clips on TikTok. And I think obviously I shouldn't be getting worried by things or taking my main sort of travel advice, I guess, online. You can't believe everything you read online. A lot of people are sort of not telling the whole story, maybe to try and make themselves look better. So yeah, happy to report no problems at immigration anyway, for me when I returned, which is great for me. But hopefully that means for you too. That's also why I'm sharing. So yeah, as long as you've got everything in order and you're not sort of abusing any of the visa systems, I don't think you'll have anything to worry about. But on the topic of visas, once again, this is something we talk about a lot on this channel. There may be some changes coming to visas. So one of the bigger news stories recently to come out of Thailand is this one. Okay, and this is the Thai cabinet endorses visa revamp. So the government in Thailand did change recently. There was an election, and obviously with a change in government, you can sort of expect a change in perhaps views towards immigration and tourism visas, which is something that's always in sort of the news in Thailand, because perhaps the country is very well known for being a popular tourist destination, and tourism, or the tourism industry I should say, is a large part of GDP in this country, so it is an important political point. But yeah, they are proposing a visa revamp, which might be a good thing. So the cabinet on Tuesday, this is from the Bangkok Post, where I get most of my news from actually. The cabinet on Tuesday endorsed a comprehensive visa package proposed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to boost tourism, attract long-stay visitors, and stimulate the economy. The deputy governor spokesperson said the measures implement in phase aim to enhance Thailand's appeal to tourists, remote workers, and long-term residents. With visa-free entry for nationals of 93 countries for up to 60 days and an expanded visa on arrival scheme for 31 territories in effect, also the DTV, and the new Immigrant Ed Plus, which allows you to study and then look for work. So in the medium term, the ministry intends to streamline non-immigrant visas with the target of reducing the number of categories from 17 to 7. And also e-visa services have been expanded to all 94 Thai embassies. Future plans include adding 8 more countries to the visa on arrival list and revising criteria for long stay retirement visas. So some interesting stuff there, I would say. So yeah, it doesn't look like too much has actually changed just yet. It looks like what they're trying to do is streamline, like the e-visa service is a new service, and I actually used it to apply for my most recent visa, and I was very impressed. And it looks like they are putting or shifting the sort of application process of more of the different visas onto the e-visa service, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. It seems to be working quite well. So that's probably a good thing. They're reducing the amount of non-immigrant visas, which again, that's quite a complex sort of spider web, if I'm honest, of different visas. So I've been on a non-immigrant visa when I was working as a teacher. I was on the non-immigrant B, which stands for business, I think, which means like work related. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why you can apply for the non-immigrant B, the non-immigrant O, retirement, marriage, those types of things. Non-immigrant ED, education visa for those studying. So I think they're trying to kind of, well, like they said, they're reducing it from 17 to 7, did they say? So I guess they're maybe merging a few of the categories or sort of changing some of the criteria perhaps, which it looks like they're just sort of revamping it like they said in the article. So not too many sort of big changes there I could see. I would be interested to see what they're going to do about the retirement visa. They said at the end there they're going to let me get the words correct if I can find it again. They said they're going to be revising the criteria for long stay retirement visas. So yeah, I'm not sure what that would entail. That could be, potentially good or potentially negative news. Not entirely sure what that would entail. Again, there's a few different routes for the retirement visa. There's the O, the OX, and maybe one more that I'm forgetting. So again, if it's just sort of streamlining that, putting it onto the online e-visa system, meaning you can apply for it there, then that necessarily wouldn't be negative. However, they may be like trying to increase perhaps the proof of funds or how much money you need to be able to stay. So could be good, could be bad. There was talk of a new visa in Thailand also, which I don't know if that is the correct way to describe this news. So I'm not sure if it is. I don't think it is a new category of visa. I think it's a new route to apply for a visa that already existed. But yeah, because again, I sort of heard this news, I think first on maybe TikTok, and it was like new visa for foreigners in Thailand. But again, I'm not sure that's the best way to describe this. Sorry guys. Basically, what seems to have happened is that, like I said, there's a new route to apply for a visa that already exists. So you have the long-term LTR visa, I think it's called, long stay visa, perhaps. And again, if you were a wealthy remote worker, if you were investing in something in Thailand or a few different other reasons, which I can't quite remember off the top of my head, then this was potentially a good visa option for you that you might be successful in applying for. What appears to have happened is that a condominium complex, so like a company that builds condos in Thailand, has kind of worked in partnership with the LTR and added this option to their reasons for being able to apply for the LTR visa or the long stay visa. So again, it's not necessarily, it kind of is, it's not necessarily a new visa, as this visa category already existed. It's a new sort of pathway to be able to apply for that visa, perhaps. But yeah, let's have a look at a news article about this company. So on the Nation business section, the title of this article says, Long Stay Visa, a move to attract foreign investment and boost tourism cities. So Thailand Long Stay Visa, in partnership with Sansiri, offers foreign buyers a chance to purchase condos and receive long-term residence, boosting tourism economies. Thailand Long Stay has partnered with Sansiri to promote the long stay visa, offering foreign nationals the opportunity to purchase condos worth 3 million baht or more and secure a long-term residence rights. This collaboration aims to stimulate the economy in key tourist cities across Thailand. Okay, so yeah, again, not necessarily a brand new visa. However, again, looks like a new opportunity to sort of get to that long stay visa. So this was actually pretty interesting. For one, and again, I'm not entirely sure I have all of the details correct about this. I couldn't find too many articles. In fact, a lot of the articles I could find were sort of people criticizing this because, yeah, for a variety of different reasons. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But what it looks like is that this company who builds condominiums, and foreign people can buy condos, they cannot buy houses in Thailand. So if you wanted to own a home in Thailand, you're looking at a condominium, pretty much. The only other option would be if you had a business, your business can own a property, I think. But again, the business is majority Thai owned anyway. But yeah, you can buy a condominium. Now, I think the condominiums do have to be 51% Thai owned in the complex. So again, majority of the complex would be Thai owned. But you can own a condominium, and you did, I think, there was a possible route to get like an investment visa, which used to be, I think it was the non-immigrant O visa, based on the grounds of investment. However, it was quite a large investment. I'm not sure if it was an investment in a condominium would have counted. It might have had to have been an investment in a Thai company, although perhaps a condominium would have been acceptable. But this is like a clear route, right? So this is if you buy this condominium or with this company, they've got a partnership with the long stay visa, and you'll have a route then to apply for the visa. Another thing is, I think this condominium were doing something pretty unique as well, which was offering kind of, I'm not sure entirely, and this might be incorrect, but I think they were offering some kind of credit for foreign buyers as well, which is pretty much unheard of, to be honest, in Thailand. I looked at buying a condominium once when I was in Samui. The owner was wanting to sell her condo and I really liked it. I looked at getting credit from a British bank of like a mortgage. You can't apply for a mortgage to buy property outside of Britain with a British bank, I found. And you can't borrow money to buy property from a Thai bank unless you're married and you're doing it with your partner, with your wife who's Thai. So at the time I couldn't get sort of credit to buy the property. But I think this company might be offering sort of finance routes as well. I think you have to put down at least half of the price of the property, and then you can finance the rest and pay it off in like monthly installments. I'm not sure how good of a deal it is. However, again, this is the first time that I've seen that being offered to foreigners, and this is an interesting route. I think it's only in Phuket at the moment with this sort of single complex. However, I suppose if it's successful, then perhaps it will roll out to other parts of Thailand. So definitely an interesting development, definitely an interesting sort of news story to follow. Like I said, I did actually see a lot of articles with pushback. A lot of local residents are worried that, you know, the property market's going to be overwhelmed by foreign investment, which definitely would be and should be a concern for local people. You know, if you look at, you know, London in the UK, very difficult to buy property there because people from all around the world own property in London. So, you know, you could see popular tourist destinations in Thailand turning into a similar situation, which definitely wouldn't be great, especially for local people. So I can definitely appreciate that side of the argument. But yeah, interesting news story nonetheless. I seem to have had a sore throat for about 2 months now. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. Yeah, well, soldier through. There was another kind of visa-related story, and this one keeps cropping up. So basically, let's just get the headline. So visa-free stays to be cut from 60 to 30 days. Now, I've fallen for this before and thought this had already happened. And I don't mean fallen for. This story seems to keep coming up. It seems to be something that people are quite keen to get or to make happen. It seems like probably will at some point happen, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think it's happened yet. And again, I don't understand why it keeps being a news cycle, and people keep sort of putting it out. So there's quite big sort of TikTok or social media people based in Thailand who do keep saying, oh, look, it's gone back to 30 days, but it hasn't yet, I don't think. And like I said, I made a video on YouTube, which I had to take down and edit because I thought it had gone back to 30 days. And that was months ago. So yeah, it is a news story that keeps coming up. It's something that people keep wanting. A lot of local people didn't or don't seem to be in favor of this. It doesn't seem to help the tourism industry because most people don't stay for longer than a couple of weeks who are genuine tourists. So it maybe doesn't make a great deal of sense. I know for a lot of people it's a really good thing, and especially like backpackers who can just really spend a long time here. But yeah, it perhaps will change. So definitely something to bear in mind, definitely something to keep an eye on, especially if you're planning to come to Thailand in the near future and spend a long time here, because this would definitely affect your plans. If, you know, before you thought, well, I'll get 60 days, well, maybe it'll change back to 30. But yeah, let's have a quick look at what the news article actually says. So again, visa-free stays to be cut from 60 to 30 days. The Tourism and Sports Ministry insists the government's plan to reduce visa-free stays from 60 days to 30 days should not impact tourism, as most foreign tourists on average stay for less than a month. And that is the key point here. Most tourists come for like 2 weeks, right, and then go back for work. So shouldn't really affect the tourism industry. And I think visa exemption is a tourist visa route, although obviously you don't need one, you're exempt from needing a visa. And it was increased from 30 days to 60 days not that long ago. So it's been around maybe a year or so, maybe a little bit longer. But it used to be you only got 30 days. It was extended. Okay, I think that we're trying to get more or increase travellers, the amount of travellers. Maybe it's not having the desired sort of thing, and it does bother a lot of people. So yeah, it could definitely cut back to 30 days in the near future. So this provided supporting research to the committee, which is expected to reduce visa-free stays back to 30 days. So the change should not impact tourism. okay, as foreign tourists on average stay in Thailand for 21 days at most. And if they want to stay more than 30 days, they can extend the initial 30 days as you could previously. But again, the rule change was proposed by tourism operators since last year, seeking to reduce foreign criminal activity to promote a safer image for the industry. So that is also, two things there. Again, you can see it's a proposal, so it's not actually in effect, although a lot of people are saying it is, and it might soon be. We'll have to see. But again, the other thing here that they're trying to reduce is criminal activity. So basically, because it's quite a long period, 60 days, I think a lot of people are using it just to come here, work for that period of time, some people. Also, it sort of gives people perhaps who don't have the funds to apply for a longer period visa to sort of just come and then maybe do that a couple of times and still spend a lot of time in Thailand without the more strict sort of requirements that come with longer term visas. So again, I think those are the main things, the main reasons why there seems to be a lot of public support for reducing it back to 30 days, as well as a lot of political people seem to want that to return also. Okay. So it is really hot and humid here today. Struggling a little bit. I always seem to. I can't have the air conditioner on while I'm recording because it's so loud. So I have to get this up for a little bit. But we do only have one more story to discuss anyway, and it is a little bit of a gloomy one. Really, I wanted to talk about it just because I've seen it a few times recently this month. So yeah, I'll show you the sort of headline and we can discuss it from there. So funds raised after British tourist critically injured in Koh Samui motorcycle crash. British man critically injured in Koh Samui motorcycle crash is the headline. So yeah, gloomy news. And why am I bringing this up? Well, because again, like I said, I've seen it more than once recently. I swear there's been about 3 really bad motorcycle accidents of foreign tourists recently in the news. And I know someone when I was working at a school, I knew one of the teachers who had a really bad incident and was like in hospital for a long time. The hospital fees really mounted up, and it is a really dangerous issue. So let's read through the article, see what kind of happened and the situation. Then we'll maybe talk about some precautions that you can take to avoid this situation, because I can't honestly imagine anything worse, or not too many things worse at least. So, the family of a British man launched a fundraising campaign after he was left in critical condition following a serious motorcycle accident at Koh Samui. The victim, 23-year-old British national, travelled to Thailand with a friend to celebrate his birthday, and then he went to Samui. I won't give it all the details. So the media has said that the accident occurred after his son went to the gym with a friend and later rode a motorcycle to a restaurant for lunch. While travelling on the island roads, Tiger, I think his name is, attempted to overtake a car when another motorcycle suddenly crossed into his path and collided with his bike. Emergency responders provided first aid at the scene before he was rushed to Koh Samui Hospital. Due to the severity of his injuries, he was later transferred to Med Park Hospital in Bangkok for specialist treatment. And they confirmed that their son travelled to Thailand with travel insurance. However, the family later discovered the insurance policy did not fully cover Tiger's medical expenses. So that was one thing that I wanted to really highlight for you guys. You know, like when you go on holiday and you use traveller's insurance, a lot of the time motorcycle incidents let me say that again. A lot of the time motorcycle accidents are not going to be covered. Really sorry. And the reason is it doesn't fall under kind of standard medical insurance. It's sort of seen as like an extreme add-on. So unless you add it on or unless you get specialised coverage, you'll find that motorcycle accidents aren't actually covered by your basic holiday traveller insurance. So that's definitely something to bear in mind if you're going to rent motorcycles abroad, right? And again, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just quickly see. So while the family did not disclose specific policy details, online commentators and expatriates in Thailand speculated that the claim may have been affected by conditions such as riding a motorcycle without an international driving license, a common exclusion in many traveller insurance policies. So yeah, if you don't have the correct travel license, if you don't have a driving license, a Thai driving license, or a correct international driving permit, then your insurance is going to be oh. So yeah, if you don't have a Thai driving license or an international driving permit, then your insurance isn't going to cover the accident, even if your in coverage does cover motorcycle accidents. So that's something else to definitely bear in mind. Feared with mounting medical bills, travel costs, the family has launched a fundraising campaign, and you can see there that image is pretty grim. The costs apparently exceed 165,000, more than 7 million baht. And yeah, you can see there was a similar incident not too long ago. But yeah, that's basically all I kind of, sorry, I realised I wasn't sharing my screen there. You can see the images there of the hospital and the previous incident. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. I wanted to say that if you are riding a motorcycle in Thailand, then perhaps it's best for it not to be your first time. Although I know a lot of people, including myself, do learn to ride motorcycles whilst staying or living in Thailand, but do it in a safe way, right? There are actually motorcycle schools. I saw one in Pai that could definitely be a good option. Familiarise yourselves at the minimum with the motorcycle controls. Definitely want to have a license. If you're staying long term in Thailand, you can actually go and take your driving test and get a license. Can be a little bit tricky, but it's I've done it, it's fine. A simpler route is to apply for the international driving permit before you travel. That's accepted as a license for driving legally in Thailand. So that's something to bear in mind, and also definitely make sure that your travel insurance, if you have it, does cover motorcycle incidents, because some don't. And then also, if you've got any of those other licensing issues, that could also affect your claim too. So a lot to bear in mind. But yeah, it just seems to happen a lot. So, and like Samui especially has like really mountainous roads, as do many of the islands. And it's not the safest place to learn to ride a bike, I don't think. There's also people from there, from all different corners of the earth. Everyone drives quite differently. And everyone's not necessarily too familiar with the road rules in Thailand, because it's a holiday island, right? So it can be a pretty tricky place to drive. So if it's your first time, it's definitely a real danger. And also, with rainfall, mountainous roads can be a dangerous spot to at least learn. So perhaps definitely get some experience before you rent a bike. Make sure you've got a license, and try and make sure you've got travel insurance that does cover motorcycle incidents, or you could end up in a really difficult situation. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end the live here, and thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you probably again in a couple of weeks.